Welcome, everyone. Ready to dive in. We're taking a look today, a deep look, I should say, at a song you've definitely heard. Maybe more times than you can count.
One of those that just seems to pop up everywhere.
Exactly. Everybody Wants to Rule the World, the mega hit by Tears for Fears.
A classic. And we've got some really cool stuff to share about it.
Yeah, we've got excerpts, articles, interviews, the whole 9 yards to really dig into the story behind this song.
Because even though you might think you know it, there's a lot more to it than meets the ear.
One of producers actually even called it, get this, bland as hell when they were making it.
Bland as hell, can you believe that? It's hard to imagine now.
Right. So we'll uncover how that bland recording turned into such a huge, enduring hit.
Let's get started, shall we? First up, how this song even came to be. It's kind of a funny story, actually.
Yeah, it really is. Picture this. Tears for Fears are in the studio, totally immersed in recording Shout. Shout, shout, let it all out. That shout.
Ah, yes, another classic. The energy in that studio must have been something else.
Totally. And right in the thick of it, Roland Orzabal, one of the guys from the band, he just casually brings in this new idea. Super simple, just 2 chords on an acoustic guitar.
Talk about a contrast. Intense work on one hand, and this easy breezy idea on the other.
Right. And from those 2 chords, boom, Everybody Wants to Rule the World was born.
It's amazing how these things happen. Chris Hughes, the producer I mentioned earlier, he said it came together so easily, almost without any effort at all.
And then he calls it bland as hell. I mean, talk about underestimating a song's potential.
Well, I guess you never really know what's going to take off and what won't. But this one, it definitely took off.
Big time. It became their very first U.S. #1 hit.
Not bad for something that started with just 2 chords and was considered bland.
Not bad at all. And then, of course, Shout followed suit just a few months later. They had 2 #1 hits back to back.
A real testament to their talent, and I think to the fact that sometimes the simplest things can be the most powerful.
Absolutely. Speaking of powerful, the title itself has a pretty interesting backstory, a connection to another band, a pretty influential one at that.
Oh, this is the Clash connection, right? I read about that.
Yep. The line, "Everybody Wants to Rule the World," actually originates from the Clash's song, "Charlie Don't Surf."
Interesting. So did Tears for Fears just lift the line straight from them?
Well, that's where things get a little murky. There's a story about Joe Strummer, the lead singer of The Clash, confronting Roland Orzabal in a restaurant about it.
Ooh, juicy. Tell me more.
So apparently, Strummer walks right up to Orzabal and says, "You owe me a $5." Just like that.
Huh. That's classic Strummer. What did Orzabal do?
Well, Orzabal, without missing a beat, just hands him a £5 note.
No way.
Right.
So was it a cheeky acknowledgement of borrowing the line? A way to smooth things over with a bit of humor? Or was it just a coincidence and the whole exchange was a joke between them?
It's a real mystery. We'll probably never know the full story, but it definitely adds to the intrigue of the song's history.
For sure. I mean, it's fun to imagine these music legends having that little interaction.
Definitely. But let's move on from the title to the lyrics themselves, because there's another interesting contrast at play here. You've got this super catchy, upbeat, almost like a feel-good song.
Right? It just makes you want to move.
Exactly. But then, if you really listen to the lyrics, they're actually pretty serious.
Oh, yeah. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, is it?
Not at all. Kurt Smith, the other half of Tears for Fears, said on their website that the theme is actually quite serious.
Quite serious. So what's the serious stuff about then?
It's about the desire for power, the reality of war, and all the suffering that comes with it. Pretty heavy stuff for such a catchy tune.
Yeah, that's the thing that makes this song so interesting. It's got this duality to it. The music makes you want to dance, but the words make you think.
Totally. And I think that's a big part of why it's endured for so long. It's not just surface level, It's got depth.
Right. It's engaging on multiple levels. You can enjoy it on a purely musical level, but you can also delve into the deeper meaning behind the lyrics.
And that depth is reflected in how it's been used in pop culture. I mean, it's everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. You hear it in movies, TV shows, even commercials sometimes.
Remember Dennis Miller's HBO show?
Vaguely, yeah. Wasn't it on for quite a while?
It was. And guess what his closing music was for most of its run?
No way. Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Seriously?
Seriously. And that was from 1994 to 2002. That's a pretty long time for a song to be associated with a show like that.
It really shows how much staying power it has. It's
And
not just a flash in the pan.
not at all.
Yeah.
And it's popped up in some pretty diverse places. Like, remember Real Genius, that 80s college comedy?
Oh, yeah, with Val Kilmer.
That's the one. It's kind of ironic because that movie's all about military technology, which ties in with the song's themes of power and control.
Right. I hadn't even thought about that connection before. That's
Isn't
pretty
that-
cool.
And then there's Romy and Michelle's high school reunion. Remember that one?
A businesswoman special? How could I forget? I love that movie.
It's such a fun, quirky movie, and Everybody Wants to Rule the World fits in perfectly. It's playing during their big interpretive dance scene.
Of course. How could it not? That song just has this way of working in so many different contexts.
It really does, and it doesn't stop there. It was in the NWA biopic Straight Outta Compton.
Wow, really? That's a pretty different vibe from Romy and Michelle.
I know, and it was even in Steven Spielberg's Ready Player One.
Wow, that movie was a visual feast, and the soundtrack was awesome. It makes sense that Everybody Wants to Rule the World would be a part of it.
It's like the song has this chameleon-like quality, adapting to whatever world it's in.
You're right, and we haven't even touched on all the TV shows it's been in.
Oh man, the list is huge. ER, Cold Case, Malcolm in the Middle.
See? Totally different genres. It fits in everywhere.
Even The Wire, which is known for its social commentary. It makes you think about how the song's message about power and control can apply to so many different situations.
Absolutely. It's a universal theme, really.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been explored in all sorts of ways through the different interpretations of the song.
Speaking of interpretations, there have been some really interesting covers over the years.
Oh, yeah. Everyone from Lorde to Weezer has taken a crack at it.
Even Kurt Smith himself did a solo acoustic version for the movie The Private Public.
Oh, wow. I'd love to hear that. It must be so different from the original.
It is. It's really stripped down, just him and his guitar. You really hear the emotion in the lyrics when it's just like that.
I bet. Taking away all the production really lets the core of the song shine through.
Exactly. And then there's Lorde's version for the Hunger Games Catching Fire soundtrack. Have you heard that one?
Oh, yeah. It's so haunting. Like a completely different song almost.
One article called it a haunting dirge. It's amazing how she transformed this upbeat song into something so dark and melancholic.
And it worked so well in the context of the movie. It perfectly captured the oppressive atmosphere of the Capitol and President Snow's reign.
The label executive even said it was perfect for the movie, reflecting the themes of power and control in that world. It's like the song took on a whole new meaning in that context.
You know, it's incredible how a song can be reinterpreted in so many different ways and still be so powerful.
It really is. And then there's Angela Moss's karaoke performance in Mr. Robot. Do you remember that?
Yeah. That was in season 2, right? She sang it after having this realization about her own ambitions.
Exactly. And what she says afterwards is so interesting. She says she wants something way beyond just ruling the world. It makes you think about the different forms of power people crave and what truly motivates them.
Deep stuff. It's like the song became a catalyst for her self-discovery.
It's amazing how it can spark those kinds of reflections, isn't it? And thinking back to the song's creation, there's this fascinating tidbit about how they landed on that iconic title phrase.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading about that. They originally had a different lyric, right?
They did. It was, "Everybody wants to go to war." But apparently it just wasn't working. It didn't have the same impact.
Everybody wants to go to war. Yeah, I could see how that might be a bit too on the nose.
Right. But then Roland Orzabal had this aha moment and changed it to "Everybody wants to rule the world," and suddenly everything clicked.
And the rest is history. It's amazing how one small change can make all the difference.
Totally. Orzabal even said that after that change, the song suddenly felt joyful to him, even though the underlying message was still serious. It's like that shift in wording unlocked something special.
It's a great example of how the right words can really elevate a song, how they can create this tension between the music and the lyrics that makes it so compelling.
Absolutely. And that tension, that complexity is what makes this song more than just a catchy pop tune. It's what gives it staying power.
And it's not just the song itself. The story behind it, the whole journey of Tears for Fears, adds another layer to its appeal.
Right. And that journey wasn't always easy. The success of songs from the Big Chair led to a pretty grueling tour schedule.
Yeah, they were on the road for almost a year straight. That takes a toll.
It definitely does. Kurt Smith even said that he didn't want to become a computer programmer, meaning he didn't want to lose touch with the creative side of being a musician. The pressure of that success was intense.
It's easy to forget that there are real people behind these mega hits. people who were dealing with the pressures and challenges that come with fame.
It's a good reminder that even the most successful artists are still human.
And sometimes those humans need a break, which is what Tears for Fears did after that tour. They took a hiatus before their next album.
They needed to recharge, to reconnect with their music, and when they came back strong.
Speaking of strong, do you remember the story about the record label and the single choices?
Oh, yeah. Everybody Wants to Rule the World to be the lead single in the US, but the band had already released Shout as the lead single internationally.
I can see how that would cause some tension.
Yeah.
The band probably felt strongly about Shout since it had already been successful elsewhere.
You'd think.
Yeah.
But Kurt Smith actually admitted later on that the record label made the right call.
Wow, that's pretty big of him to admit that. It shows that he's willing to learn and grow as an artist.
And it also shows how important it is to have people around you who can offer different perspectives. Sometimes the people outside of the creative process can see things that the artists themselves might miss.
Totally. It's a team effort, really. And a successful team is one that's open to different ideas and perspectives.
And the success of Everybody Wants to Rule the World is proof of that. And they kept finding new ways to share it with the world. For the 30th anniversary of Songs from the Big Chair, they released a whole bunch of different versions of the song.
Oh, cool. Like, what, live versions? Remixes?
Yep. There were live recordings, alternate mixes, even an instrumental version.
An instrumental version.
Oh.
I bet that's really interesting to listen to. You can really hear all the different parts of the song when the vocals are stripped away.
Exactly. Kurt Smith even said that he gained a new appreciation for the song's construction by listening to the instrumental version.
I could see that. It's like looking at the blueprint of a building after you've only seen the finished product.
A perfect analogy. And then there's all the other artists who have covered the song over the years. Gloria Gaynor, the Glee cast, Weezer. It's amazing how many different interpretations there are.
It's like the song is a blank canvas, and each artist gets to paint their own picture on it.
And some of those pictures are pretty unexpected. Like, have you ever heard of Ted Yoder?
Ted Yoder. Rings a bell, but I can't quite place it.
He's a hammered dulcimer player.
A hammered dulcimer. Now that's unique.
Right. Well, he did this instrumental cover of Everybody Wants to Rule the World on his hammered dulcimer.
I'm picturing this now, and it's already amazing. Did people like it?
People loved it. His video went viral, got over 100 million views.
100 million views for a hammered dulcimer cover. That's incredible.
It is. It shows you the power of music to transcend genres and connect with people in unexpected ways.
It's like the song found a whole new audience through this unique interpretation.
Totally. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Everybody Wants to Rule the World. It's been quite a journey.
It has. We've gone from bland as hell to a global phenomena, explored its lyrical depth, uncovered its connections to other artists, and seen how it's been reinterpreted and reimagined over the years.
It's a testament to the song's staying power, its ability to resonate with people across different generations and cultures, and it all started with just 2 chords on an acoustic guitar.
It's a reminder that sometimes the simplest things can be the most profound.
Absolutely. And now, we'd like to leave you with a question to ponder. Considering all the different contexts we've explored, all the different interpretations, what do you think is the enduring appeal of Everybody Wants to Rule the World? What is it about this song that keeps us coming back, keeps us singing along, keeps us thinking? Is it the catchy melody, the thought-provoking lyrics, the way it reflects our own desires for power and control? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.